Hey everyone, and welcome into another video. So today I'm taking a bunch of notes on this Aquarius full moon that we are having, and I thought that it would be a good time to share those Astro notes with you guys. So this is kind of a different video, but I hope that you guys are able to get some type of inspiration or insight from it. I think today I'll also share with you all some of the notes that I've taken regarding the full moon. So I'm gonna finish up with my note-taking process. I'm gonna give this information to her, and then I'll get back with you guys in just a bit, and we'll talk about this full moon happening in the sign of Aquarius tonight. Fancy things we've been working on and bringing them into So I'm outside. It's about 15 minutes before we get ready to have the actual proper alignment of this full moon in Aquarius. And so I'm outside soaking up the moon and the sun. Okay, so I know the lighting is terrible, but I did want to share my full moon notes because I worked on them and I said I was going to share them, and then I completely dropped the ball today, and the reality is I took it very easy today and I didn't end up doing much of anything, and other than taking these notes here and editing a couple of other videos like for social media and stuff, but it wasn't film worthy, I guess. And so it was like I didn't have time to share this like verbally because it was loud. I didn't have anywhere to go that was like quiet. So it is 11:11. Oh my god, wait a minute. Well, obviously it is 11:11, so perfect timing. I guess it was meant for me to continue to share this video, because several times I was like, you guys, I'm just not gonna do a video today, and then I'm like, no, I've been doing so good. But this is where the importance, like literally when it comes to like vlog life and being a vlogger, if I'm being 100% realistic, this is where having your content plan in order, or having an actual plan, or even just having some type of content to film that has nothing to do with like daily vlogging, right? Like something that doesn't require a whole lot of work. Anyways, I'm on a ramble. All of that to say, I'm here. Here's today's video. Happy day, what are we on? 11 of Vlogust here. And I want to jump into this. Let's talk about this full moon. So I'm not sure how many of you actually like follow along with astrology, or even just see, you know, especially nowadays, things in your Instagram feed or on your Twitter, or I mean, I think even CNN.com was talking about the full moon tonight. So it is happening in the sign of Aquarius. It's already happened by the time you've seen this video, obviously, but if you're catching this video anywhere within the time frame. But the energy of this full moon, it will linger for a couple of days, about 2 days. So I think like 2 days on either side, but then everything happens in cycles. So honestly, the things that are happening now could also have something to do with things that are happening later. However, let's jump into these notes. Let me read you all of what I have taken down. I use multiple different sources to research. I've got like 6 books open from my Kindle, and then I have books that I reference from Scribed, the website that I've talked about before in a previous video, and then also from different websites as well as multiple YouTube videos. So when it comes to the notes, they're a pulled mix of a lot of different things, and the way that I usually do them is I listen or I'll read, but I like to take what really like hits me as something important, and then of course that's what I write down. So that's what I'm gonna share with you guys. Okay, so let's get into these notes. So first of all, for anybody that is wanting to see where this full moon is taking place within your own natal chart, you want to pull up your natal chart, whether you do it on astro.com or if you have an app, and go there. And so once you pull that up, you'll want to see So if you're interested in seeing if this is going to like really heavily affect you, first of all, if you're in any of the fixed signs, then you may feel the effects of that. And our fixed signs are Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, and Taurus. You want to look in your chart for where you have 19 degrees. First of all, 19 degrees of Aquarius, what house that's in for you. It's going to be a different house for each person's natal chart. At anywhere in your chart that you have, probably the orb is pretty tight, but maybe 17, 18, 19, of course, and then 20, 21 degrees, maybe 22 degrees of anything. And that's typically the sign and house also that will feel some effect of what's going on. So let's jump right in. So we have this full moon taking place at 19 degrees of Aquarius. And so according to the Farmer's Almanac, this is considered a sturgeon moon. This moon does end a series of 4 supermoons that we've had this year that began in May of 2022. So the full moon will reach its peak today at 9:35 p.m. and that was Eastern time. So it was 6:35 here in the Pacific, which was why in the video clip before it was so bright outside still. So for those of you that just need a general overview, so the moon in astrology is all about our emotional body, right? It is our emotional center, our intuition, our gut feelings. It's representative of the mother and mother energy, the divine feminine energy. It's the way we nurture and the way that we need to be nurtured, okay? And it's about our mind, like what we deeply think about on a level. So where Mercury is like our intellectual mind, Moon is more of that emotional body. Leo, being the opposite sign of Aquarius, is where we have the sun sitting right now. So happy Leo season to all of my lions and lionesses. This full moon in Aquarius is about detaching. So especially detaching from things like negative emotions. Aquarius rules our friendships, it rules groups, it rules the collective. Unique perspectives and seeing the bigger picture is what we're looking at. This is about being solution-oriented and letting go of ego and pride. There's a need for change, freedom, and detachment right now. Detachment from negative emotions, and this may feel very predominating. So this particular full moon can be a huge pivoting point for a lot of people, and that can be physically or that can simply also just be energetically. New moons are a beginning. The full moons bring the promise of what began on the new moon. It's the coming to fruition of or being met with challenges, stepping into things we've been working on and bringing them to completion and stepping into a new way of being. This is a super moon, and so that just means that from where we are, our position on Earth, the moon appears to be much closer. And so in these instances, the effects of the moon are often felt more heavily than if the moon appeared farther away. A fresh start is here. Anything that is being released is making space for what comes next in our lives. What do you need to change in order to feel confident and energized? So with this moon, there may be a light bulb moment. There can be these really quick or sudden instances where something just clicks, inspiration, sudden realizations. So if you think back to the new moon that was in Aquarius, and this was around the first week or somewhere in the first week of February, the full moon here in Aquarius is now the materialization of what was going on, what was beginning at that time for you. Rewards may be reaped, or perhaps right now you're in a space of just reevaluating and getting it figured out again. Aquarius is all about the collective. It's about groups and friendships. There can be a need for change in these areas in your life. This also all depends on where the full moon is going to be taking place in your own chart and what aspects it's going to be making to other planets. So of course, some people get this a whole lot different than other people in how it, is actually going to affect each individual. This full moon is conjunct with the planet Saturn. And so this offers a more serious energy. Saturn rewards and punishes based on the level of effort you've put in. Saturn is stationed at 22 degrees with this full moon. Saturn tends to be a bit difficult, especially in conjunction or by opposition. Saturn can make things difficult or hard to do. So just be mindful if things are really feeling like super tough right now. That's that Saturnian energy. Right now, it can feel like a introspective time, possibly even a depressive time. But this is a good conjunction, however, for building new networks and communities for the long term. The moon is also squaring the nodes, and so this makes it a really potent time for our growth and evolution individually and, of course, collectively as well. This is an indication of conscious choice right now, choosing what we like, what makes us happy, what we don't like, what do we need to surrender to. So this is an opportunity for a conscious choice to detach and surrender to the divine. Some key takeaways for this full moon in Aquarius. Consider it a very unstable disruption of reaping what you sow, and this will be wherever Aquarius falls in your chart. Breakthrough because of conflict. Understanding that true happiness is an inside job. Whatever is not working in our situation, it is time to detach and surrender, and that can be hard to do. However, in doing that, we can suddenly and unexpectedly receive insights and solutions. Stop trying to make such a detailed plan and just go for it. Detachment and surrender is about trusting that the details are left to God, and take a leap of faith in order to make things happen. This is an intense full moon. Don't avoid the work. It's your personal responsibility to choose to live consciously and mindfully. A good question to meditate on is, how are you transcending your problems? Give yourself permission to be intentional about letting go of any fears that you're holding on to, things that are holding you back or standing in your way of forward movement. What do you need to release at this time in order to make room for more? In order to make room for new? In order to make room for better? Okay, what can I be doing that is going to make me feel the most creative? What can I be doing that is going to make me feel the most alive? Some mantras for this full moon or affirmations are: my well-being does not depend on another person's behavior. My well-being is not determined by outside events. And those are so true. Like, those are, I think those are some pretty powerful affirmations to speak over yourself, especially when you're feeling anxiety or unstable or, anything that might be going on, to bring it back to an understanding that our own well-being is our own responsibility, right? Our well-being doesn't have to change with the changes that are going on in the world, right? In this world, but not of it. For this full moon, I did pull some cards earlier. Y'all know my cards. These are like intention cards. They're not tarot cards. I mean, I just call them message cards. They just have messages on them. They're a good pull for the day or when you just need a good word. And so I pulled some of those in honor of our full moon night. And these are what came out. So take what you can and leave the rest for someone else. But I really think that given that the energy, it seems, of this Aquarius full moon, you know, really just relating to the sign of Aquarius, is about detaching. Saturn is right there to keep things in serious perspective. It's about evaluating and then shaking off the dust, right? Letting go. And also about building and networking and being more a part of community and collective. And of course, full moons are always about like an illuminating and a releasing, but with this Aquarius energy, there is that like sort of detached, like letting go energy that's just there. So the cards that came out for the card draw, and these cards, some of them like flew out, guys, were unexpected things, Uranus conjunct Mars, find value in it, treat yourself to something special. And I think find value in it is actually pretty cool, as it could relate to like the nodes. It's being square to this full moon. Like the north node is in the sign of Taurus, and Taurus can relate to our values, you know, the things that we value. So finding value in it. What do you value? Treat yourself to something special. Trust the process, let go of the need to be right, expect the unexpected, and those were from two different decks actually. One of those, expect the unexpected, came from this one, and unexpected things came from this one. So that was pretty cool to see that line up with two of the basically saying the same thing. That's always my favorite when that happens. What are you holding on to? Time to let go. Walk away. Learn the lesson so you can break free of negative patterns. Perfect timing. I mean, those alone just line up so perfectly. So I'm going to read the Sabian symbol for the 19th degree of the sign of Aquarius, which is where this full moon is taking place. And then that's going to be all that I have on the notes. 19 degrees of Aquarius, Sabian symbols. And there's four different versions of this that I have. These came from different authors. So 19 Aquarius, a large white dove bearing a message. Aquarius 19, a luminous dove circles downwards and comes to light on the outstretched hands of a beautiful woman. The soul as that part of the personality that comes from God on high, channeling, attending to messages of the Holy Spirit reflected in the still waters of the heart. Meditation and prayers designed to strengthen the bond between man and God, nurturing one's spiritual side versus betraying it for money, power, or fame, seeing the lovable, divine side of others, becoming someone's adorable pet, gentle kindness that translates into cuddly adorability, translating divine love into humane political institutions, hope, the promise of better things to come, bearing a message of love versus allowing disappointment and anger to harden one's heart, healing spiritual influences, clearing a space for the spiritual in one's everyday life. Wow. The one thing, so these are just kind of like a bunch of, you know, different little messages all within one text, but I feel like the one that stands out to me the most is hope, the promise of better things to come. Because in the other book, it was a large white dove bearing a message. In this other one, it says the cusp of the 27th lunar mansion, a degree of faith. So as a degree of faith, it ties back into this hope and a promise of things to come. And then the last one from another book says a large white dove bearing a message. A large white dove bearing a message shows messages of peace and love. The dove is also a symbol of innocence, gentleness, affection. Also, in art into and in the scriptures. It is a typical symbol of the Holy Ghost. Yeah. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments, like, which one of those kind of stood out to you or jumped out to you or maybe resonated with you in some kind of way. But I like that hope, the promise of better things to come, as it ties into just the overall energy of evaluating, of letting things go. And honestly, even how it said, like, basically kind of like not to sell out for money, you know, and being in spiritual pursuit. It's kind of one of those things, even tying in with just Aquarius energy being about the collective and being about groups and being about networking and forward thinking and other people, you know, the natural ruler of the 11th house. And so that feels really interesting as well in terms of, you know, asking yourself, what can I do to serve, right? What can I do to give? I hope that those notes are helpful to you in some way, or at least can give you a little encouragement around the energy that might be going on. Maybe things have been happening, or you've been feeling weird, or shit's been hitting the fan and you're like, what is going on? And so just a little Cosmo report for you. And also too, if I'm being honest, like, I did this as an accountability to myself. I have a lot of notes, and they're in my notebook, and I've been feeling nudged for a while, and you guys know this because I shared it in my other videos prior to, and that I wanted to start sharing more of the astrology notes that I have been taking and start the Astro notes and all that stuff. But you know, I want to do it in a way that's authentic and in a way that feels natural. Like, I'm not an astrology expert. I am a studying and practicing astrology student. So, you know, I don't know everything, and it makes me feel like, I guess, uncomfortable on camera when I'm like just sitting here reading the notes or trying to make sense of things as I'm saying it. But that's what people do when you sit in a room and you bounce ideas off of each other, or you're sharing or you're studying. And I'm trying to figure out better habits and ways of studying, because it's one thing to take all the notes. It's another thing to go back and study them. And then it's a completely different thing to turn around and share them. And I feel like as I'm talking to you in a conversational tone right now, I feel like my notes don't flow that way. And the only way to get better at even that being in flow is to actually talk about it and say it and what have you. So this was a raw and authentic Astro Notes night. And I hope that was beneficial for you guys. Sorry if it was kind of like weird. It's like my first time doing this, and I don't know, it's a little weird. And then I know the lighting's all off and everything, and I'm in my head thinking about the aesthetics and all that stuff. So again, all of the things that I will be releasing for the full moon, my insecurities around being here like this without proper lighting and without, you know, all the things that make a good YouTube video good. So that I don't really care about when it comes to sharing this bit of wisdom that I'm able to research. Everybody doesn't have the time to listen to as many videos as I did today, or look through as many books as I did today. Everybody doesn't have the time to do the due diligence to get into it. And so I feel like that's where I do have time, and that's where I can contribute to the collective, and that's where I can share. So anyways, I'm going to stop rambling. This video is super long. I will see you guys tomorrow with a better video. Good night.